morning, everyone. Welcome to iPredict conversation session with Josh Hall, Executive Director at Consumers Energy. Our guest speaker, Josh, he started working right out of the college in 1997. He joined Consumers Energy and since then has worked in various roles and capacities in the areas that include but not limited to scheduling, work management, field work, billing, and bill printing. A solid software development background, especially in C, COBOL, .NET, SAP, and has done a lot of project management, executed some of the large critical projects for Consumers Energy. Well, that's just a very brief on Josh. I'll let him introduce himself when he has taken over his turn. He enjoys spending his leisure time with his wife and 4 children and coaching his son's basketball team. He loves reading history. That's interesting. Wow, that's quite a list. My request to Josh would be to elaborate on his love for basketball when he would talk about it. Our moderator today, Saurabh, has been a long timer in the utility industry. He has seen a lot of this world to understand its complexities and challenges. I'll let him introduce himself and take it over from here. Saurabh?
Thank you. Thanks, Ritesh, and hello, everyone. It's welcome to this discussion with Josh Hall on the most interesting topic you could imagine for today morning. That's growing significance of asset management in improving reliability of utility operations. I'm Saurabh Kumar, Vice President at CL Tech. I head the Energy and Utilities vertical for Americas. Thrilled to be here with Josh, as Ritesh said, Executive Director at Consumers Energy. It's a large electric and gas utility in Michigan for over 100 years, serving about 6.7 million customers. So I would let Josh introduce himself, but the words I've heard Josh describe most often, it's an amazing person and inspiring leader. So Josh, before we jump into an open discussion, I would like to give you an opportunity to briefly introduce yourself, Josh.
All right. Well, thank you both. We'll see if we can live up to that billing a little bit. Wow, those are tough words to follow, but I'll see what I can do here, Saurabh and Ritesh. But thank you for that. Yeah, I've been here my entire career at Consumers Energy since 1997. I know you're all thinking, wow, he doesn't look that old, but I am. Lots of experience, lots of background in those technologies that Ritesh mentioned, as well as like a pretty diverse career that I've had here developing for scheduling, work management, bill print, billing, credit collections, FICA, project management, and then took the leadership track about 12 years ago. I was the executive director for the customer space for about 6 years, and then the last 18 months or so have been on the electric side, supporting the electric side of the business for applications, platforms, and projects that our electric business needs. In the meantime, I still don't know how, but I was able to find time to be a part-time adjunct instructor at a local community college. As Ritesh mentioned, my outside passions, my 2 boys have grown up loving basketball. I like basketball myself, so I'm also a volunteer coach for the last 12 years or so around there. So yes, one of my many outside hobbies when I find spare time for that.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for having me.
We were talking about storms before the session, right? And it's a good point to start talking about the core mission of an energy utility, right? When it comes to core mission, it's always about providing safe, affordable, now clean, and reliable energy. That does not change much from utilities to utilities. Now, since we are talking about reliability, that particular component of your mission is under tremendous strain because of wildfires on the west, because of hurricanes on the east, even deep freeze in Texas, right? Now you combine that with the typical aging infrastructure of a utility, and that's across the board. And you now have a perfect storm. I mean, no pun intended here, right? So, what are some core aspects of your strategy to manage reliability, to improve reliability in such a challenging scenario?
Yeah, thanks, Rob. That's a deep question. I'll do my best to try and answer it here, but you're spot on. We are not immune to weather up here in Michigan. We have taken two stands recently as a company for reliability and resiliency of our electric system, and one of those is no more than 100,000 customers during a storm that have outages. And the other one is, if you do have an outage, we will restore you within 24 hours. Those are aspirational, those are breakthrough. And there's been two big storms this year where we've already, like, we couldn't hit it. And February, we had a major ice storm up here in Michigan. People think of Michigan as being cold all the time, year round. It's not really, but we did have an ice storm in February, late February. Quarter-inch of ice. There's also a lot of trees in Michigan, so it brought down a lot of our lines, lots of damage. You get damage like that in Michigan and you can't even get in there to fix it sometimes because trees are in the way. So there was that one, and that one, I think that's one of our top 10 most impactful storms in Michigan. We did have about 280,000 customers in our service territory that were out of power, myself included. So that's one of the things when you work for the utility company and you're a customer, you also, get that kind of immediate feedback to how you're doing. Friends and family and your neighbors as well ask you questions about that. So February, that was a really bad one. Took us a while to get people on, and then from that, we did not get very good press. Did not get very good. The commission didn't like that. That regulates us, so we have work to do there as well. On top of that, we had severe storms in late August here in Michigan. I think there was 7 tornadoes confirmed that touched down, and that is also rare. Most people move to Michigan because they're deathly afraid of tornadoes. So we don't get very many of those here, but that one had another close to 200,000 customers that were out of power for quite a while. Lots of tree damage, lots of lines down. Lots of clearing that needed to take place before you could even get our field crews to work on the system. So those are those challenges. We move our customers more and more towards dependence on electricity. There's the electrification that probably a lot of people have heard about. There are electric vehicles. And so that increases, that reliance is only going to increase as we move forward. And we need to excel at the basics. We need to make sure customers have reliable electricity that's always there for them. That's their expectations, myself included as a customer. So we're kind of taking a two-pronged approach to this. And the first part is preventing those outages from ever occurring in the first place. And the second one is when they do occur, we need to have lightning fast restoration of our customers. Now, the second part of that's all about speed, efficiency, automation, while maintaining safety for our crews and our customers. And the first part of that, I think what we're here mostly to talk about is building an asset management strategy, though, to harden our infrastructure. So all sorts of infrastructure that we have all over the state. We service a lot of the lower peninsula of Michigan, excluding the Detroit and the Thumb area. We have 96,000 miles of distribution lines on our system, roughly. We have more than 1 million poles that are out there. And as you mentioned, Rob, a lot of those they're holding up well, but they're also getting older. They're getting older. So cross arms, transformers, components for substations, regulators, many other parts and widgets that make up our grid. And we need to gather all that data and figure out how to keep it up to date without adding manual burdens to our crews. So big challenge to go gather all that data first. And then second challenge, how do you keep it up to date without manual intervention? Now, once we get all that data, we can build preventive maintenance strategies around the data that we do have. There's a really interesting parallel to this strategy on IT systems. It's kind of the same thing we want to do to IT systems, right? Fortify them, make sure we don't have outages, be really fast if we do, and also do preventative maintenance so that we're not doing reactive maintenance, which costs a lot more. It's a neat parallel that our electric system has to our IT systems. And then there's lots of challenges as well that Michigan has, being a peninsula. We're kind of a unique geographic challenges that we have. Weather on the west side of the state is a little bit different than in the middle, as far as wind, and then there's lake effect snow from being surrounded by the Great Lakes. So all of that should figure into our data management strategy, or asset management strategy, so that we know what areas to attack first, second, third, and so forth. And so data will drive future planning for infrastructure spend, as well as communications with our regulators. We are looking forward to that day where we have all this data, it's kept up to date, and we can model things out of it. And another thing that comes into play here as well is distributed energy resources. So if you've heard of those are rooftop solar, battery, wind generation. Customers are putting more and more of this on their own personal property, and they are becoming producers rather than consumers. And so that could have an effect on our restoration strategy. If, a customer is good for more than this set of customers, maybe, we can prioritize customers a little differently going forward on restoration strategy. And then finally, Saurabh, we have a new ADMS system, Advanced Distribution Management System. We put that in about a year, maybe a little over a year ago. I think it was last June. So we've been deploying smart assets out on the grid more and more, just thousands and thousands of smart assets. We couldn't really utilize them to their fullest because we didn't have a platform for them. We knew that was coming, but we were putting all these smart things out there. Now that we have ADMS, that's the platform for these smart assets. So things like automatic transfer reclosers, line sensors, all those thousands of things, we can now start to harness the value from our ADMS platform, allowing communication and integration of those smart assets. That was a lot.
That was a lot, Josh, and we'll dig deeper into certain things. Like you mentioned, 96,000 miles of distribution lines and 1 million poles.
Yeah,
that must mean complex and large asset management operations, right? So if we dig deep into that and talking about technology first, right? You mentioned technology and data also to be more efficient, to provide greater safety to crew, right? So if we talk about technology, one thing that comes, it's changing extremely rapidly, right? And your priorities are also changing very rapidly. Short-term priorities, like you might have a storm, God forbid, you might have a storm next week, right? Then you'll be dealing with that. At the same time, you have some long-term priorities with regards to assets, right? You have the sustainability, you have asset reliability standards you have to meet, right? So how do you best, that's the question, how do you best use technology and data to stay ahead of these changes? If you can elaborate that a little bit, I think it will help.
I can, yeah. And that's it. I wish I had like a silver bullet answer to this, Saurabh, because it is such a like tricky balance that you have of getting things done now, but also knowing that, hey, maybe there's this emerging technology that's coming that we can utilize, but nobody wants to wait. Everybody wants to get things going right now, myself included. The GPT, AI, machine learning, all that stuff that we know is right around the corner. We don't want to box ourselves into a solution when maybe something simpler, easier, cheaper is right around the corner. So adaptability and agility, kind of two buzzwords, but those are really key to the strategy. We need to build robust systems that can change quickly when that technology comes. So not that we want to sit around and wait, but we also kind of have to build in a flexible architecture into these systems that we can pivot if we need to. So we definitely see the value in these predictive and preventative maintenance programs. Like I said, same philosophy on our IT systems. Fixing something before it breaks is much cheaper than fixing it after it breaks. So we've got pilot programs in place as well. Like the business isn't waiting for us, and we're not waiting. They are doing things like drone inspections. They have image analytics. They have LiDAR. They have helicopter videos. All this data they're starting to just gather, and we're going to have to figure out what to do with that and how to bring that into the fold after we get our data, our distributed asset management system built.
Yeah. Do you also seek, like, we were talking about this sometime before, the need to eliminate manual intervention as much as possible, because that can cause grave data errors, which can really cascade down into much worse scenarios. So you're doing something specific towards that?
Yeah, that's it. That's a great point. That is one of our overriding visions to all of this is data should be kept up to date and gathered automatically. Right? We don't want our crews to be data entry analysts, and they don't want to do that either. They want to be out there fixing, and that's what they're good at, and that's what they want to do. Data entry, as we know, manual data entry, it's error prone. It's not as accurate as automatic data gathering. So that's one of our overriding principles in all of this. So things like barcodes, RFID tags, whatever we can do to get data on a regular basis without a human is the overriding goal.
Let's switch gear a little bit, right? It's beyond data and technology. Let's talk about integrated processes and collaboration. Because utilities even today, many places extremely LOB focused. And when you talk about asset management driven reliability, you really need to look at processes across these silos in many cases, right? So how do you make sure there is alignment across the different parts of your organization, maybe IT, OT, even supply chain? They play a critical role, right? Your partners, your stakeholders, how do you bring them together to achieve this integrated processes, greater collaboration? Maybe you draw upon your basketball coaching experience. I mean, just tell us.
Yeah, I wish it was that easy, Shrav. I wish I could just blow a whistle and show them a diagram and everybody would set up and they'd run the play correctly. But it's usually not. But we have taken some steps to get there, because I think, as you were hinting in your question, that the lines between the business and IT, it just gets fuzzier and fuzzier. They understand and they bring technology ideas to us, which is great. And so that means on the flip side of that as well, like we have to understand their business needs. We have to know what their goals and their objectives are so that we can bring use cases to them for these emerging technologies. We recently reorganized in IT around product lines. We've been on this agile maturity path over the last couple of years, make more and more projects agile. And now we are completely in product lines. We have product owners from the business that set our priorities, that come in and work with our team so that they know like where the issues are, what's coming, and then they set our priorities for us. And so that's been good. We're striving to keep the lines of communication open. Operational technology plays into this as well, with the SCADA data and all the information that they're gathering. Engineering, we got the field crews. As we move into these projects, we like to bring field crew members in to get their opinions. They're the ones closest to the work. So they need to tell us what the problems are with our software and the issues that they're facing. So that's been good. So it's us learning what they're doing. It's also them learning what we are doing. They have to know our IT strategies and why we are making the architectural decisions that we are, why they might have to wait just a little bit until we get something, whether it's to the cloud or whatever strategy that we're adopting. But as long as they know like the value and they can see the value, that's usually a easier conversation. It all comes down to business value usually. So limit your technical jargon, focus on business value, and you can usually get them on your side. The other thing is with our regulators. So that's another big area that often isn't considered. We are a highly regulated industry. We have to file rate cases and other things with our public service commission. So we do what we can to collaborate with them beforehand. So it's not always, this like court case type of tension that's happening. They're highly interested in how we're keeping our outages low and how we are restoring our customers quickly. And they kind of have the same mission that we do. They want to make sure that customers are getting the value for what they're paying for. So we do have collaboration sessions with our regulators as well.
Yeah. Good. You talked about regulators. I was coming to that. So
okay.
We can spend a little bit more on that because
sure.
I had a very specific question about that. See, this area, the reliability standards are extremely well laid out by regulators in every state, right? In fact, there are penalties associated, right, if you don't meet those standards. So it's extremely heavily regulated. At the same time, it's so important, it's so critical to operations. You have to do a lot of innovations. You have to apply disruptive ideas, right?
Yeah.
So on one side, for regulatory standards, you have to be extremely deliberate, extremely thorough, make sure data is all correct, make sure nothing goes wrong. On the other side, you have to move fast. Sometimes you have to experiment, fail. So do you also see a contradiction? If you see, how do you manage that?
Yeah, I think it's a healthy tension that we have. I should say that. You talked at the beginning, Saurabh, about our overall mission of safe, affordable, and reliable energy, which is interesting because if you asked our commission what their goal was, I think they'd use the same words or close to the same words.
Yeah.
The difference is in probably how we get there. We might have disagreements about that, but we proactively engage in those alignment sessions with our regulators to ensure that they are aware of the direction we are taking and the technologies we are looking at. They understand, like you were saying, like the pace of technology, and it's fast today. And so something that we planned to do a year and a half ago might completely changed, and it might be for the better for our customers. There might be a new piece of technology out there that's cheaper, faster, better, and it makes complete sense to pivot on that. So they're usually okay with that if you can explain the value to the customer, reduced outages, reduced prices, and so forth. If we can bring them in early to our thinking through meetings, demonstrations, they're usually more open to like the innovation and the pilots that we have to run to prove out what our theories are.
One question, and we have to talk about that. It's, we can talk endlessly about technology and processes and data.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's about people, right? It's your team. They are the ones who have to use these tools, adopt these technologies or processes to make it all real for the organization, for your customers, right? Now, utilities, they have some specific challenges with regards to workforce, right? I mean, so what kind of people transformation you seek, Josh, when you look at the broader reliability and asset management strategy?
Yeah, and I mean, even our IT department, I don't think is probably unique to this, Rob, but we need people who can learn and apply new technologies quickly. It's no longer relevant for us to interview for skills. We're looking for self-starters that take initiative, can quickly grasp business use cases for emerging technologies. We saw this coming a few years ago, thankfully. We started our entire IT department on this training path towards digital dexterity. So digital dexterity involves things like building your business acumen, adaptability, relationships, collaboration, system thinking. What they found in research is that people that are higher in these areas generally are more likely to adopt new technologies and to drive the digital transformation within your business that you need.
Yeah.
A little harder to interview for those, admittedly, but that's the type of people that we want.
I will ask a wrap-up question, okay, and it'll have kind of two parts. One is, we look at what Consumers Energy is trying to do. It's about a cleaner planet. It's about caring about your customers, right? And you doing a lot of things. We are here focused more on technology conversation, process conversation, but you're doing a lot of things. Now, the question is, Josh, how do you see, two-part question. One is, how do you see a partner like us, a technology partner, can help you better with your mission, whether it's through extension of our lab capabilities, technology capabilities? So, would like to hear from you some top expectations, how we can help you with your mission, your goal. Second is about the people. We have a lot of people in this call. I call them at all levels, executives, managers, budding energy and utilities professionals who want to excel in this area. So you have any message for them, what they need to do to be a better professional in this area?
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can tackle both of these for us, Rob. So the first part was about, help that we need and vendors that we work with. So vendors that we work with, we like when they bring ideas to us. We like when they, can co-source with us, I'll say, rather than them going off and doing things. Is it, sitting side by side where we are learning from them, and they're bringing those ideas and they understand our business and how technologies can help us. So that's the first part in vendors that we look for. And I think the second question that you asked me was about leaders in this area. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I guess my advice on that is, when I look back on my own career and just the diversity that it had and how I moved from system to system, maybe preparing me for this job. I didn't know it back then. I just chased the newest thing and the newest challenge, and I liked problems. And so, but looking back, like, it really helped prepare me for this job and this type of future that we are in right now. So continue to just foster that continuous learning, adaptability, agility, stay curious about emerging technologies, industry trends, best practices, and then it's that data-driven mindset that you have to foster as well in your area. So keep yourself open to all that, keep yourself to lateral moves, and you can eventually, get enough well-rounded learning that will help advance your career.
Yeah, that's the perfect place to close this conversation, Josh. Thank you so much for your time, sharing your thoughts. It has been an extremely insightful conversation. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the tough questions, and go Pistons.